Hello. All right, today I wanted to do a little bit of a longer video, a little bit longer format talking about my new environmental science course. Now, this is written for high school, so it is designed for, really specifically grades 10 to 12. I think you can use it with grades 9 to 12, even 8 to 12, depending on your student. As you know, I'm a big advocate for capitalizing on a lot of that, the magic of curiosity that you get with middle years kids. And so there's a lot of topics, a lot of science studies specifically that are typically reserved for later in high school that I have done with my kids in middle years, and it has gone really well. I think they retain the information, they're interested in it. We've done like neuroscience, genetics, microbiology, all of those things in their grade 7 to 9, grade 7 to 10 years. So that's just my little plug to not shy away from some of those high school courses with your middle years kids if you want to. That's the beauty of homeschooling. So this, however, does a really good job of satisfying curriculum outcomes for high school. So a little bit about me in case you're new to Wonderhouse Creative. I was a public school teacher beforehand. I taught middle years. I have been homeschooling my own kids for 12 years now. My oldest is in grade 11, so if you count kindergarten, we've been doing it for a long time. So we are in Saskatchewan, Canada, and so I did use the outcomes for the Saskatchewan curriculum quite extensively for this. That said, people from all over the world, US, Canada, Australia, UK, use my products. And so, this does a really good job of covering just a really solid set of outcomes for environmental science. It works out to be around 107 credit hours towards a credit. And in Canada, generally 100 hours qualifies you for a high school credit. Some of the states might be 120, but seeing as we're kind of right in the middle there, it's very easy for you to add another student project, add some supplemental material if you want, and bump that up to 120 hours. Also, one thing to consider when you are giving credits for high school when you homeschool is that 100 hours of homeschool work looks a lot different sometimes than public school work, in that in the public school classroom, if they've devoted 100 classroom hours to it, they're actually not working on that course for 100 hours. You could easily eat up 20% of that or more just in classroom management and things like that. So just something to consider. That's something I always weigh into it, given that I spent so many years as a classroom teacher. I know exactly how much time, goes to other things that aren't just strictly learning. So let's get into this. I did an alternate page here for Environmental Science 20, just because that is the course in Saskatchewan, if you are from Saskatchewan and when you want to follow that. Now, I'll also say that my son, through the Online Learning Center in our province, took Environmental Science 20. So I'm very familiar with how the public school delivers this course. And I'm so confident in how well we cover it in this course that my son actually used my notes to study for his final, because he just preferred how they were laid out and broken down. So we're going into sections. So this course is broken up into 6 different sections. First section is what is environmental science. We're also going to start by introducing the student-directed project, because that's a big component of most high school courses, is allowing students to determine a topic of interest, decide how they're going to learn about it, and how they're going to present what they've learned. So we're going to guide you through that, and there's logs and forms to fill out throughout this. For each section, you're going to have this overview where we're going to break it down into modules. So for the first section, we have 5 modules. It tells you all of the topics that are covered. So the first module, what is environmental science? What are the characteristics of environmental science? How does worldview play into that? And then tech, which is traditional environmental knowledge. So we're going to look at Indigenous practices and how that factors in to environmental stewardship. Then you're going to have your activities listed and then a recommended number of hours. So for all of this, I'm saying it's probably going to take you about 3 hours. That's obviously approximate. I don't know your kid, how you're going to structure it. So that's an estimate. So we do that for each of the parts, and then you'll get into going through the notes. As you can see here at Wonder House, we really care about how it looks. It's kind of my mantra is it might as well look good. So I find kids find it motivating if they find it aesthetically pleasing. One thing you'll see a lot of are these doodle note pages, and it's not meant to look childish in any way. It's a way for them to visually and with writing summarize their knowledge, think through it. It gives them things to focus on to guide that note taking. So for this one, 4 key focus areas of environmental science, they can put in that little wheel. They can list the 9 characteristics. What are the types of worldviews that were discussed in the chapter? And what do you think your worldview is? There's names for all of them. And then we're going into a tech, environmental knowledge assignment. We're also working on always building skills at the same time as going through this content. So my focus is not just that your kids learn about environmental science. My focus is that they learn about environmental science and they build marketable, practical skills that are going to serve them well both in academics and in real life. So this one talks about Word documents that stand out. So it's going to give them ideas, and then they're going to have to do that video response and put some little more effort into their Word documents. We have a Google Quick Start page here in case you want to use Google Docs. I always try to pick one platform that if you're not super techie or you're not used to using some of this stuff, that I just keep that consistent throughout the unit. Obviously use whatever you want, whatever you have on your system, but I usually just try to pick ones that are free and accessible to everybody. So Google is a great way. We use Google Drive. My kids can easily share their documents with me. I can edit in a suggest mode, which I like. So I can, just put it in suggest mode and I can suggest changes, which just helps that collaboration. So going through population growth, you're going to see charts and data right in there. This one is a little data find within the notes. Can they figure out what it's showing? Again, we have doodle notes, renewable and non-renewable resources. This one is a cut and paste. Put it on the continuum. Then we're going into things like the Jekyll and Hyde of clean renewable energy. So we really want to focus on critical thinking. And so obviously there's a lot out there talking about climate change and clean energy and things like that. So I wanted to present, some of the other factors that, environmental scientists and policymakers need to consider, such as extraction of, lithium for electric car batteries, or the geopolitical considerations of, mining some of these things in third world countries, or China having, the lion's share of the refinement processing for these clean energy resources and stuff like that. So it's just something to really stretch their thinking and look at positives and negatives, because life isn't black and white, and so you rarely see black and white in my resources. Again, we have doodle notes, and we're talking about economics in the environment, supply and demand, sustainable economic growth, nature-based tourism. They're going to do a tourism business pitch. Again, we're building skills. Do case studies. Everything is already here. You don't need to research outside of it unless there isn't an actual research project. But you'll have, the data here and be asked what to do with it. Here they're going to make a digital line graph in Canva. There's Canva Quick Start Guide. So then you're going to have checkpoints for the SDS, Student Directed Study project. So it'll be right in here. So another thing to note here is that the way I design these is there's no teacher's guide in here because I just want to simplify the process. I don't like myself flipping back from book to book. I just find my brain doesn't work like that. I don't want to go to a teacher's guide and then figure out what pages that results or corresponds with in my kids' stuff. So this whole thing should be printed out and given to the student doing the course. And, what I generally recommend for the parent or the teacher to do is just work with a digital copy so that you don't have to print it all out, but obviously you can definitely print your own out. So here, the checkpoint, it's going to keep them pacing to kind of be able to cover this over the 5 months, right? So this is a 5-month course, 20 weeks, if you do it 5 times a week, basically. If you're going to do it less, then I would extend that to maybe be 2 full semesters. So topic and study plan, their method, and then there's a learning log for them to fill out as whenever they work on it. So we start going into waste management. Section 2 is Earth systems. So we're looking at spheres of the Earth, structures on Earth, the energy flow through ecosystems, trophic levels, primary productivity, keystone species, biodiversity, the IUCN Red List, inputs and outputs, positive and negative feedback loops, all of this stuff. The water, the carbon, the nitrogen cycle. And then we're going to have creative activities to do with those things. So here, this one is a case study on Yellowstone wolves. They're going to create this pyramid link verbal presentation. The energy cycles, we're going to look at creating a storyboard, pick one of them. There's lots of choice built in as well. Here's just another example of soil formation. So section 3 is climate change, section 4 is terrestrial ecosystems, section 5 is aquatic ecosystems, section 6 is careers in environmental science. So try to really break down the information in a digestible way. Creative activities, we've got helpful diagrams, again leading them through things like making a mnemonic device for the soil horizons. Sustainable farming practices. We have field labs as well, so those will be noted up in the corner there that you're actually going to do. So this one is soil testing, lab write-ups. We have aquatic indicator species in this one, and learning the lake zones, poetry and science, lots of different activities. The readings are more extensive in this unit than in the Intro to Science series that I do. So you'll do a bit more reading before you get to the activity, or I'll interdisperse smaller activities within the reading to just break it up a bit and get them working with the information. That's always my goal, is I want them to work with the information in an authentic way, or in a really out-of-the-box kind of just fun way, just to get them working with the content so that they can actually think about it and synthesize it and use it. So, and then at the end, so we have more of the SDS checkpoints. There's a grading rubric there for you so you can grade it. On the note of grading, I do recommend, if you don't already have a system, I paid somebody, I hired somebody to create a whole Google Sheets system for grading that self-calculates, and you can weight it if you'd want to. If you don't want to weight it, you just put it all in one column for 100% of the weight. So I have things like this so you can grade it and then you can record it. It walks you through creating course descriptions. You could just throw all of these section overviews into your course description. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then we have a final exam for them to write at the end. And there's an answer key for you, so you can mark it. There's short answer, there's essay questions, there's matching and labeling and all of that. So that is a look at environmental science. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or let me know in the comments. It's on sale for launch week, which only lasts actually 2 more days. So I'm going to post this right away. And yeah, you'll get the high school digital record keeping resource for free as well. So you're saving $22 by taking advantage of that offer. I know that a high school course is a little bit more, you have to think about how you're going to fit in a 5-month course into your year. And so I get it's not like an impulse buy. So I wanted to give you a little more information. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's awesome. My daughter's going to do this one. My son already used it for part of his course. I wish he would have been able to use the whole thing. I should have written it earlier. That said, he might just end up going through a bunch of it again, because I found that the way that it was presented in his public school course, it was just a lot of information and they didn't really do anything with it. And then they would just write a quiz on it. At the end, some of the weeks, some of them, there was like some cool case studies and things like that to look at and some field labs, but not anything, just difference, difference in preference. And my kids obviously are very used to doing the curriculum that I write. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions.